Our team created a survey aimed to understand the connection between how sleep and dreams/nightmares relate to when a person is experiencing stress or is in a productive state. We started our survey with an essential question to any research conducted about sleep, and that is, how many hours do you sleep on average a night? We hope that with this question we can divide our survey takers into average, below average, and above average amount of sleep per night. We made this question into a multiple choice question as the answers would be too varied if it was a written question. The choices were less than 7 hours, 8 to 10 hours, 12 to 15 hours, 16 or more. We found that 51% of our survey takers, who were mostly students, slept less than 7 hours, which we categorized as below average. Another 44.9% of people slept 8 to 10 hours, which we categorized as average. Lastly, 4.1% or approximately 2 people answered that they slept 12 to 15 hours, which we categorized as above average but not to the point of being dangerous to one's health. Thankfully, our red category, or that you need to get checked out by a professional zone, also known as 16 hours or more, had 0% of responses.
So, the second question that we had to ask to get more accurate information was, how many dreams do you get in an exam week? In order to be able to relate dreams with stress, we had to choose a relatively stressful situation that can actually apply to almost all of the responders, which were basically students. Some theories about sleep and dreams tell us that our dreams are actually affected by our subconscious, and others tell us that it's brain interpretation of what you're thinking about or what you had experienced earlier in the day or week. During your exam week, actually, your mind is probably occupied with thoughts about said exams. That being said, this situation induces different amount of stress depending on the individual and how much they can handle. Nevertheless, stress can still manifest in different ways that might not include dreams. So, 46.9% of responses show that they remember either or none of their dream. Our theory about this includes actually two conclusions. Either they stayed up during exams, limiting the amount of sleep, therefore the dreams, or that stress manifested in a way that made them dream less or forget their dreams more. 42.9% of the responses actually said their dreams differ throughout the week. We included this type of response specifically to people who either don't pay much attention to their dreams or the ones that, in our opinion, didn't get affected by stress through their dreams. And lastly, 10.2% of the responses are 2 to 3, which is a reasonable amount of dreams to remember in a week. This alone doesn't give us enough information, but through other questions we'll be able to come with a conclusion.
How many nightmares do you get in exam week? This question is meant to be compared to the last one, as it would directly relate to stress. People associate stress with negative things, thus nightmares come into play. 65.3% said one or none. If compared to the previous question, we conclude that nightmares are more rare to come by during exam week than dreams. 18.4% say 2 to 3. Looking objectively, 18% isn't a lot. But speaking from personal experience, as a group, we don't usually get that many nightmares. So even though it is a small percentage, having 2 to 3 nightmares in a week must mean a great amount of stress has been placed on that person. 16.3% say that it differs throughout the week. It is too broad of a response to come to one conclusion, so members of our team came up with theories. Theory number 1. Some people who answered with this response mean that their overall average is more than 3 nightmares because 0 to 3 are options that can tell us that stress was a prominent factor on their dreams that ended up as nightmares. Theory number 2. Those who answered had a random and not specific amount of nightmares. Therefore, they consciously didn't associate nightmares with stress. Do you get more or less sleep when stressed? This question is direct as opposed to previous questions relating to stress. If the other question was not relatable to some responders, like ones who are above the age of having exams, this would give us a response from them that we can interpret. We made this question even simpler by giving two options that can make it broad but will be able to reach more people. Those options were less sleep or more sleep. An expected result was concluded as 71.4% responded with less sleep, as opposed to dreams that include multiple theories with almost none confirmed. Sleep when generalized gives us a direct outcome. More stress most likely means less sleep. That can be due to overthinking or more time spent solving the source of stress, like studying for an exam or preparing for an important presentation. 28.6% responded with more sleep. Although it is more uncommon, it personally didn't surprise us. Some members of our team were convinced that the responders were bluffing, so we researched more on the subject to better understand why someone is stressed or someone who is stressed would sleep more. The most probable outcome is simply escapism. If you know that a deadline is approaching and you've been procrastinating till the last second, you would want to avoid a situation where you are confronted with your mistakes or be put on the spot. A way to achieve that would be to escape or leave the confrontation for later. And one way to accomplish that would be more sleep. This action can be involuntary, unconscious, subconscious, or in an aware state of mind.
The fifth question that we asked was, do you usually get dreams or nightmares about your stress source? There is actually a possibility that your dreams and nightmares may not be directly correlated to your stress, but what if it is? We placed this question for that purpose. Dreams can be actually confusing and convey nothing relating to the reality of the situation, but we wanted to see if any of the responders directly seen or felt even just a symbol from their stress source. Let's give an example maybe. You have a team presentation, but neither you or any of your teammates are prepared. You want to prepare, but it's too late, so you fall asleep and then have a dream that you're in front of your class presenting. You're stuttering and the teacher suddenly turns into a monster from a show that you've watched the night before. Even though this dream is unrealistic, it is directly related to your stress source. Now this is just an example. It can come more vague or more detailed. We aim to find how people experience their dreams to be directly related to that they are stressed about. So we have our results where 57.1% answered no, which either means it wasn't direct enough or it was completely unrelated. 42.9% answered yes. Unlike most of our other questions though, these percentages are really close, that they are almost 50-50. After looking at the result of this question, we were a little surprised and definitely fascinated about how many people experience similar but never the same thing.
Do you sleep better when you get your work done? This was the most predictable accuracy question we got, as the responses are almost exactly how we figured it would be. 91.8% of responses were a yes, 8.2% were a no. Nevertheless, we benefit greatly from creating this survey as it gave us a better understanding of our lesson and made us more curious about the state of our dreams and sleep.